We're dealing with a culture that has evolved. We're dealing with a culture that's been hit by sex revolution, feminist movement, civil rights movement, has all of these different, facets that have hit and pushed our world into something completely different. That like we miss the reality that it's not, God ain't never changed. We can go home and turn it off right now. Like when you start thinking about biblical man, how he was shaped, like Abraham, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking about the OG, Paul. Paul was crazy, but Paul, you know what I'm saying? Like when you start thinking about OGs, like how they were, like bro, there was a communal influence to this stuff, bro. Like you start thinking about a pre-modern world, a biblical world that is grounded in biblical tradition. Not only like the church's job in this whole thing has been to form us and to shape us morally and doctrinally. So I go to church to get saved and get informed on how I should live and who I should be and how I should walk with this new identity and relationship to God. But it was the community, the family, the work that shaped the man.
Yeah.
So it's to say like, I learned how to be a man from what I learned at church, the theory, the theology, theology I got. But then it got put into practice when I went out on the farm with my daddy. And I had to plow and I had to hoe and I had to harvest. I learned those lessons. You know what I'm saying? Like there were practical training fields that helped me grow that were insulated by church. But nowadays, man, we're dealing with a culture that has evolved. We're dealing with a culture that's been hit by sex revolution, feminist movement, civil rights movement, has all of these different, facets that have hit and pushed our world into something completely different. So a lot of times, man, we're so quick to blame church and point the finger at church and so quick to give up on God and to walk away from anything that has to do with it, that like we miss the reality that it's not, God ain't never changed. We can go home and turn it off right now.
God ain't never changed.
God ain't never changed.
Yeah.
The culture has changed.
Absolutely.
The ecosystem has evolved. Yeah. And the reality is that maybe we could sit up and argue that maybe church, we do. The reality is that church is not four walls. Church is an organism, not an organization. And it's to say that, man, like we're starting to see, there is a pivot. Maybe there is a model pivot that we got to make. This is a fatherless generation. Okay, so it's really not that many daddies out there teaching their kids how to build stuff.
Yeah.
They're not really raking the leaves together no more.
Yeah.
They're not, fixing the house together no more. Okay, this is a culture that has shifted when it comes to community from in-person to digital largely. So this is a group of people who are massively isolated. Yeah. That plays into relational leadership and competence. These kids, all they play is video games. Like all pornography, like sex revolution, all of these things have completely and radically changed the landscape that we're on. So inevitably, like what we're seeing now is like, oh shoot, okay. Culture is still forming and culture is still shaping. It's just now it's away from God, largely.
Yeah. And
that is the issue is okay. Acknowledging these gaps. For everybody, for the man, you're like, you've been feeling this, you know what I'm saying? Like you've been feeling it heavy that, man, I struggle with, and you may have, maybe it came out as I got friend zoned or whatever, but like what you really saw was like this low quotient when it came to emotional confidence. Or like you saw this low quotient when it came to initiative integration. Yeah. And you're seeing those things and you're turned off because you feel like you should have taught me this and you should have. And what we're saying is that, man, inevitably, in order to step and grow from anything, bro, we got to stop pointing a finger and we got to start processing and working together so that we can get to what God wants us to have.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, man. Like you're completely right, man. The culture has changed. Like the what we call modern now isn't what was modern.
No.
20 years, 30 years ago. And so we got the same faith, but this same faith is working in different contexts from generation to generation. And right now, what we see in this generation of men, generation of singlehood, generation of dating, it is a completely different landscape. And I think that that's subtly, I've been struggling with this word all day, subtly influences our faith.
Yeah.
When it shouldn't.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't.
Yeah.
But it does. And we've seen this time and time again. And maybe that's, maybe that's a discipleship. Like, I think I always go off on this rant just a little bit. It's just like, man, like, we need more elders in the church. Like I was talking with somebody the other day, and when I say elders, I feel like we talked about, like, generation to generation, like it really has changed. And I think that we are living in some days where there is the generation of elders now. They are ready to take the back seat.
They're ready to sit down, boy.
Like I talked to one person and they were like, I was like, hey, like, I really would love for you to, help us with XYZ. I feel like, your voice could be used in the lives of some people. It's like, no, that's for the young people.
Exactly.
He's like, I done did all of that when I was younger. And I was like, but the young people need you now. And ultimately, I was like, yeah, they don't need you. Like, not with that attitude.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a generation that is older that's just ready to be like, hey, like, I'm retiring. I'm peacing out. I'm gonna go enjoy my life. I'm gonna go travel. I'm gonna go do my thing. I'm gonna spend time with my grandkids, and then I have my freedom because I didn't work 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, and I'm ready to have my time. And I just really think that that we need to continue to push the message that there's no retiring in the kingdom of God.
No, baby.
There's no retiring from being a disciple maker. No. And I keep pushing this, and I want to push it more. But, like, man, elders are needed in this generation.
Dude, I remember JKJ, my pastor from Minnesota. He was like, yeah, we don't retire, we refire. Let me go home.
Sheesh.
Can I take a lunch break?
Sheesh. That's so true. That's so true. It's just like, man, and I think, like, where you're mentioning, like, a lot of this formation that was happening because of the landscape, the culture that has changed, drifting towards this more fatherless generation. Like people now, the younger generation now, they don't get to benefit off of the wisdom or the values that were built of the ages of when. Yeah. Because people saying, like, all right, like, I'm peacing out, like, I'm about to do me, and good for you. You've worked hard, but, man, like, if there were more elders that have walked with God, that have done this thing with God, that would like step up and say, like, man, I see a generation that the landscape looks different, the culture looks different, and they need somebody to step in and to disciple and to mentor and to lead and to guide, man, because I think we had a pastor come to our church, and he was a guest speaker, but he was just like, man, there are so many grandparents these days that feel like their voices are no longer needed. Wow. They feel like their voices are dismissed because of their age. And he just reaffirmed them and told them, like, no, we need you. We need your wisdom. He was saying, like, he said, like, there was some startling statistic of like a lot of teenage suicide is prevented based off of how influential and how close they are with their grandparents. Wow. And that drastically brings down the percentage of teen suicide if they are connected to their grandparent, if they have a relationship with their grandparent. And I think just once again, just not to go off too much on a tangent, but I think once again, it's good for elders to pass down their wisdom and be active with discipling and forming the generation that is of now, the younger generation. Yeah. But honestly, like, I do think that in some of this, the landscape that we're seeing now, like, yes, like, we have a lot less people that are being molded and shaped to, you're going to church and you're getting fed, and you're learning about faith and you're learning about Jesus, but there's actually some principles of life, like being in relationships, having emotional intelligence, being able to read the room. Like so many people are missing, they just have so many gaps in just like being able to be a human being, because there's not those opportunities to be formed. And so I think one of those things that subtly, oh my gosh, I cannot say this word, is subtly not being formed is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I think that goes a long way in relationships, especially when it comes for men being able to relate to women and to have emotional intelligence, to be able to have conversations and even to understand women more, now that we're going to be able to completely understand everything. This is a passage in 1 Peter that I got to tell you about, that I've been reading about a little bit, but we'll get to that. But I do feel like, and maybe the sisters out there could relate. Like I do feel like the ladies, especially, our Christian sisters, they could benefit more from men who are emotionally developed.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
I think a lot of times, like, we focus on the faith and what I know about Jesus and what I, what I believe and what I've grown up on. And that is great.
Yeah.
Praise God for that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think that we should just focus on the spiritual solely, and not forget the practical, that there still needs to have some emotional relevance, some emotional connectivity within these relationships. I talk to so many people that are frustrated because they just can't connect emotionally and they don't know how. And I think sometimes that's on us. Like, we have not been able to develop that muscle. And so I do think that, along with building our faith and knowing more about Jesus and knowing the Bible, that is great. But I think what happens and what helps most in relationships, especially in today, is where you have emotionally healthy men, men who are walking around whole, healed, that have a sound mind.
Come on.
I think it goes such a far way, because when we talk about building a life, building a family, man, like it takes so many dynamics, and if I can't reason with you emotionally or connect with you emotionally, or at least try to understand, I can't be so stiff and cold where I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, no, like, if we are going to model how Christ loved the church, there is an emotional component. There was an emotional draw that Christ had to his bride, to his people, that made him humble up unto the obedience of the cross.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. There is, man. It's emotional issue. There's all these things, and I feel like that's really why we do a lot of what we do. Like, even like our small groups. Like, listen, anybody that's watching, if you need community, come jump in one of our groups. Like, you can tap the link in the description below. You can jump into one of our small groups where this is what we live out. We live out biblical teaching, but also, because I feel like the way forward, bro, is not only where we are growing in teaching and learning, right, morally, but it's also where we are getting the opportunity to form. We notice the gap. I may not be able to put all the language to it. I may not know, like, something missing, like something ain't right. Real. I feel like I need this. So, like, okay, I'm not getting it here, so I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go to the gym and get it. I'm gonna go to Run Club and get it. Whatever that is. And what I'm saying is that I truly do feel like a way forward is going to be, again, that marrying of practical and spiritual faith and reason, where we grow morally, doctrinally, theologically together, but also step into practical arenas where we can put to practice what we are learning. Like, let's get out there and let's grow in it practically. And I think that, inevitably in my own life, that's where I've seen success. And I feel like for a lot of fellas, that's where we're going to be able to help. Maybe even you get to it, is stepping into our small group and getting into a growth track where you can grow in these things. Yeah. And that's going to, I just see that being the arena that we step into, man. And I think that, especially when it comes to emotional confidence, right? And just maybe where a lot of us are dealing with maybe a deficit there, man. I think these are arenas that really have exposed maybe why Christian dating feels so trash. But also it's kind of giving us a runway as to where maybe we can grow in it. Because you are right, bro. Like, Christian women, bro, they looking for a man who can, like, do you understand me? Like, are you feeling me? Like, I remember as I went through this last season, man, and you know, I had a relationship, you know, that honestly just kind of went bad. You know, I started, you know, we talked about it, bro. You know, I was dating this girl, and for everybody listening, I was dating this girl, and she was cool. You know, we met, and nice girl, and it just didn't work out. I kind of, at one point, I sensed that, like, God was kind of positioning, like look in that direction, Joe. Like, turn and look over there. Like, do that. And doing it, man, it just didn't go the way that I thought that it was gonna go. I didn't think the outcome was what I was intending for. And in that, man, I learned so much, but I also dealt with so much. And you know, it was a reality where I think maybe I wasn't even all or as ready as maybe where I'm at now. But also I saw like arenas where maybe this, you know, I don't think maybe she's got some more work to do on herself and just being able to work through and regulate. But in that entire process, man, dealing with the disappointment and the fallout, bro, I had to deal with my emotions. Like God gave me a real deal glimpse of what a lot of people are working through, which is trauma, bro. Like trauma will give you proximity to emotions that you never wanted, never desired, and never asked for. Yeah. And you trying to figure out why I feel this and what is that and what's going on here and what's going there. And it was those moments where God was teaching me regulate, like orient, like don't react, respond. And understand why this is happening. Like there's a story and there's value here. And I think for a lot of men, we are very unaware of the women that we're walking with. Like we're so unaware and we've become so attuned by modern manhood and modern culture about how a man should walk and how he should regulate and what his emotions should be like, that you done turned them off trying to cope and appease with the culture, and you're not realizing that you're dealing with a creature that is very hypersensitive to these emotions. And because you've never learned regulation, because you've never learned how to orient, because you've never been in situations.
Necessary soul work.
Yeah. Then like there is such a gap of what you are even can even intellectually like hold and steward. So yeah, man, I think that inevitably for me, man, that's been something in this past season that I've had to deal with too.
Bet.